The people running organizations like Collective Shout don't actually care about protecting women and young girls. They care about profits and power. And unfortunately, over the past couple of weeks, we've heard that Collective Shout has scored a major victory, though now we have the National Center of Exploitation coming out and backing them, saying this is such a big win. And of course, gamers are roasting them. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, I want human beings to be protected. I want women, young girls, young boys, men to all feel safe in this world. And if we had organizations that were actually filled with people who actually cared about these things, I would support them. But we are talking about organizations that, only really care about profit and power. Look at the way that Collective Shout has acted. They view the payment processor situation as a major victory, and they are talking about how good it is because ultimately they want to take hobbies and enjoyment away from men. They hate men. They do not care about the video game industry. Actually, the co-founder, Melissa Tankard Rice, has admitted in the past that she hates video games, so she has a vendetta against them. And unfortunately, these people are looking to attack any entertainment industry that they can, based on the fact that, sometimes there's violence and gore and SA in video games, so they think that it's like exploitation. But now we have the National Center of Exploitation, or NCOSE, coming out and, of course, praising Collective Shout and attacking gamers, and they are getting absolutely roasted for it. Now, NCOSE has made some very questionable choices over the years. They've attacked video games many times, not that different from Collective Shout. They only really talk about video games when they think they can gain a foothold in this industry and they think that they're actually going to be listened to. They want to be a sweet baby Inc. Though back in 2018, Natalie Ford published this article on their website. Gamers are opposing removal of explicit video game content from Steam. I do, of course, remember the situation, though I'm sure there are a lot of you out there who don't know much about them and how they've targeted video games in the past, but they actually went after Steam specifically, which is why, of course, they're praising the fact that Steam has had to remove content now in 2025. The opposition this week over our efforts to get Steam, the Walmart of video games, to get rid of pornographic and sexually violent scenes has been intense. Yeah, because you're trying to force censorship upon a platform and you're trying to take adult content away from adults. If a game is properly rated and it's not illegal, meaning it doesn't depict a real person, then it should be perfectly fine to be available for sale. That's why you faced backlash in the past, and it's why you're going to face backlash now. We've had thousands of comments on our social media accounts, multiple hack attempts on our website and email accounts, and many angry phone calls to our office. NCOSE has been called every name in the book, from religious censors to feminist or radicals. Interestingly, because NCOSE is a nonpartisan organization that works with allies from all political and religious backgrounds, these critics never know quite how to categorize our organization. It's a bullshit organization. It's an organization that only exists for profit and power. That's a good way to describe you guys, I'd say. And they said that they are receiving this vicious response from the online/video game community because of our victory with Steam, a 2018 Dirty Dozen target. After a 2-year campaign by NCOSE, Steam has contacted several video game developers asking them to remove sexually graphic content in their games on Steam or face delisting. So this is why initially I had really blamed Steam for the situation now, because they have censored games in the past. Now, of course, we know that it's primarily because of Visa and MasterCard, and we have to fight back against them more than we have to fight back against Steam. But if Steam gains a victory in this case, we're going to be back to square one, because they still could remove content that they feel like removing. Though I'm not here to trash Steam completely. We're here to talk about NCOSE. I have hundreds of videos on this channel talking about censorship in the industry going back 6 years, and many of them are on Valve. Though they put up this post just a few days ago saying hundreds of R&I games removed from Steam, a gamer's perspective. You don't know any gamers. Stop lying. It says, I didn't have to provide any ID or anything to verify my age and see some of the worst pornographic sexualized torture of women I've seen. It was pretty bad. Some things I saw, I'm talking about games where the scenarios are abducting women, holding them hostage, and essaying them. And any child could access that. Why are we putting the blame on platforms when it's parents that are not doing their jobs? And second of all, platforms like Steam and Nintendo and PlayStation, they all have age restrictions on content when you go to certain pages, but they also have parental control. So, like, put the blame on parents for not doing their job. Recently, our forensic collective Shout in Australia celebrated the success of their campaign, urging the removal of nearly 500 games from the video game platform Steam and itch.io. These games allowed the players to act out explicit acts of violence, R&I, against women and children. They keep saying children, yet I have not seen a single game in this entire discussion that revolves around children. I haven't seen Collective Shout highlight one. I haven't seen NCOSE highlight one. I haven't seen anybody on social media highlighting them. And I've got to be honest, straight up, I have never seen a video game where you are doing these things that they're specifying to children. So yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. The fact that these games have been removed is an incredible victory, which NCOSE unequivocally celebrates and commends Collective Shout for. At the same time, this incident has sparked a surprising amount of controversy and mixed reactions because you're trying to censor people. I completely understand you might feel uncomfortable with this content, and that is perfectly fine. It's not for everybody. I personally wouldn't play a sex simulator game, but I am going to sit here and defend it tooth and nail because it deserves to exist. It is legal content being sold, therefore it shouldn't be restricted. This all began with a game called No Mercy. This game allows players to assume the persona of a man who Rs his female family members with a self-proclaimed huge focus on I and male domination. Are we going to start banning tons of fantasy series like A Song of Ice and Fire? Are we going to ban history books on the Habsburgs? Are we going to start banning accounts and records that have these types of themes in them? Well, we shouldn't, though. That would be a big win in their opinion. So they said that because of this inaction, Collective Shout then organized a petition for the removal of the game from Steam. 70,000 people signed the petition, yet no action was taken. They're talking about how they complained and complained and complained over No Mercy, and it was not removed. And they're complaining that Steam did not answer them, did not address what they had to say, did not cave to their demands. And then, of course, they decided to go to payment processors. 5 days later, after it was sent, Steam implemented a new policy stating developers cannot publish content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors. So they're talking about how that's a great thing. Though it says there has been an unconscionable level of aggressive threats launched against the women at Collective Shout after Steam and itch.io took action. These women have received death threats and R threats, including threats to their children. I have not seen a single post that goes that far. And sure, there are individuals who are always willing to cross a line on the internet, and that is terrible. And you should not be sending these people threats because ultimately you're giving them what they want, which is a way for them to call gamers absolutely terrible things. Though, of course, they're talking about children here. That's a big theme with them is, oh, we want to protect the children. You don't care about protecting the children. You care about profit and power, and you're going to use any tool in your toolbox to get people to stop criticizing you and the decisions you've made. Though, they go on to say that this isn't about censorship. It's about protecting women and girls by not promoting games based on their torture. It is actually content like this that silences and suppresses women, making them feel unwelcome in the gaming community and afraid to speak up. The gaming community is almost 50% girls. What are you talking about? In 2024, 46% of gamers are female. So you're sitting here saying, oh my gosh, women are being pushed away from the industry and silenced, when really there's a near equal split. Do they not know what they're talking about? Well, of course they don't know what they're talking about. I sound stupid for even asking that question. They go on to say that the extreme backlash from fans of these games threatening the female advocates with R and death threats demonstrates this reality. This is why I have decided to not put my name on this blog again. Sending people death threats is not okay, but the problem with these individuals is that they love to dramatize a situation. So right now they're receiving major backlash. We're talking about hundreds to thousands to millions of gamers who are standing against them, but they want to play the victim because that's the only thing that they really know how to do, because they can't put together a cohesive argument and they can't actually debate and they can't really listen to what other people have to say. They really only love looking at themselves in a mirror while they talk to a microphone or type this article, and then they go, yeah, you know what? This is a really good stance. Again, you might be uncomfortable with this content, and that's perfectly fine, but women are not being silenced and suppressed and, hurt in the real world because of what happens in a video game. There is no consistent scientific evidence to back up the claim that violence in video games causes violence in the real world, but that is the angle that they are constantly trying to push. They even go on to say the majority of gamers do not defend the games themselves and are instead focused on payment processors having too much power and how this could lead to censorship of other content. However, there is a minority of people who do defend the games, claiming it's just a game. It is just a game. They're fictional characters in a fictional world having fictional things happen to them. I'm a gamer. I've played hundreds of games on this channel, never mind across my entire life. I talk about video games every day. I've never been hurt in the real world because of a video game. I don't know any other women that have been. I haven't heard of any cases where a man specifically says the video game made me hurt a woman. And even if that did happen, right, how often is that happening? Clearly not often, given I've never heard of a case like that. And I bet that these women couldn't even come up with one example off the top of their head without Googling maybe certain keywords. Now, they're saying that the majority of gamers don't defend the games themselves and are focused on payment processors having too much power, and they completely ignore that argument because they know they would get wrecked. On the contrary, research shows that violent media can and does lead to increased acts of sexual aggression as well. They list one single study that says a 3-wave longitudinal study found that adolescents who consume violent X-rated material are 6 times more likely to become aggressive later in life. That's not specifically about video games. That's just about any sort of X-rated material. And again, we're talking about one single study and an extremely small pool. Right here, it specifies 1,588 in Wave 1, 1,206 in Wave 2, and 1,159 in Wave 3. So we're only talking about a couple thousand people here. But taking to X and to look at the response by gamers on social media, it's not going well for them. You're like the whiny kid in school who tattles on everyone just to feel important. No one invited you into this community. You're not a gamer, and you sure as hell don't speak for us. And let's not forget, you've been caught hypocritically deleting tweets condemning cuties just because your pals at Collective Shout supported. You people are sickening. Go away. You won't be missed by anyone, I promise. Your friends at Collective Shout are defending the existence of Cuties, a movie you called child exploitation, and were against what's worse, your staff are deleting tweets that attack cuties to look unified with them, which is terrible. You're not fooling anyone. This isn't about protecting women and girls. Your allies at Collective Shout proudly defended Cuties, a film globally condemned, even by you, for exploiting real underage girls. This is in no way actually protecting women and children. You do know video games aren't real, right? Real women protected 0. People who now despise feminism, 10 million. Congratulations on your victory. It's about censorship and NCOSE donation grifting. If people are denied the ability or freedom to purchase lawful content, that is the very definition of censorship. It's like the Access Media constantly says, this case isn't censorship. You guys are just being overly sensitive, when of course it is censorship. So yeah, it's not looking particularly good for them right now. And of course, I will continue to keep my eye on this situation, though they are being absolutely wrecked by gamers. And of course, their claims are absurd. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, take a minute to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the second channel as well, and follow me on social media. And of course, if you did not enjoy, make sure to give this video video a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.